If you were to think back to the last week or so, have you used a vitamin D supplement? In this video, what I'm going to do is take a look at the dangers associated with megadosing vitamin D supplements and what you need to consider when doing so. So for those of you who are brand new to my channel, my name is Lucas, the founder of Ergogenic Health, and my mission is quite simple. It's to bring you the most cutting edge health information that you'll struggle to find on Google. So please hit that like button down below if you like these videos. Is it safe to be megadosing vitamin D? Now, before we get into this video's topic, I want to outline and define what I consider to be a megadose. Now, megadosing, in my opinion, is classified as anything above 10,000 IU in supplemental form in one serving or one sitting. Now, whilst many studies have shown promise in improving clinical outcomes in those affected by the virus, the purpose of this video is to highlight the major dangers associated with ultra megadosing vitamin D and also why you must ensure you're monitoring your vitamin D levels. I want to quickly preface this by saying that this has got nothing to do with the fact that you need to add in magnesium or vitamin K2. You guys should know that by now, that if you're using vitamin D supplements, you need the synergistic cofactors such as vitamin K2 and magnesium to make it more efficient and effectively utilized by the body. This is not what the video is about. This video is going to explore why it's dangerous to be single loading megadosing vitamin D. We also need to remind ourselves that vitamin D is actually not a vitamin. It is a hormone. Now, this vitamin D is a steroid hormone that is basically existed on the Earth's surface for 750 million years and regulates many cellular mechanisms. After being produced in the skin by sunlight or dietary intake, it is actually converted to the biologically active 1,25 dihydroxy vitamin D in the liver and kidneys respectively. So many people don't realize that the liver and kidneys both play an important role in actually converting the sunlight from our skin into the active form of vitamin D. This is why anyone who has any liver or kidney issues or cholesterol issues, because we need cholesterol to help synthesize vitamin D, may have issues with, actually producing adequate amounts of vitamin D. Now, although the effects of vitamin D on skeletal and bone metabolism have all been well recognized for a long time, its extraskeletal effects have gradually come into prominence within the last 20 years. In addition, its effects on the regulation of the immune system, which has been spoken about in the last couple of years. Hopefully you've seen people talk about the absolute necessity to have adequate, if not high to normal vitamin D levels in the context of the virus. Without a doubt, there is a ton of research to suggest that higher than average, typical normal levels of vitamin D improves clinical outcomes in those affected by the virus. But it also affects oxidative stress, cancer biology, and the nervous system. Vitamin D's effects are very broad, not just improving bone health. Now, here's the study that really shocked me. The study was titled Efficacy of High-Dose Vitamin D Supplements for Elite Athletes. Now, this study was completed in 2017, so it is at least quite recent. Now, I'm going to get into the details of this study shortly. In this study, they gave elite athletes either 30,000 or 70,000 vitamin IU of vitamin D3. Both doses of vitamin D led to an increase in both the form of vitamin D that is tested in your blood, the active form, as well as the inactive form of vitamin D. So obviously those big doses raise both levels of the active form and the inactive form. But taking the 70,000 IU dose also raised a metabolite of vitamin D breakdown in the body. In fact, this metabolite remained high for weeks after the athletes stopped taking both prescription doses of vitamin D. Now, this metabolite may inhibit the conversion of the inactive form of vitamin D to its active form. In other words, taking that super high dose leads to a negative feedback loop, driving down the form of vitamin D that goes to work in your body. So this is really important to highlight, particularly those that are using very, very high doses of vitamin D. Abrupt withdrawal from the 70,000 IU resulted in blood levels of the inactive form that remained elevated while the active form drastically fell. 6 weeks later, both the active and inactive forms of vitamin D finally returned to baseline levels. Daily dosing of vitamin D, which are much smaller in quantity, typically 1,000 to 5,000 IU, in my opinion, a better option than very high bolus doses all at once or one time per week or month, because these large bolus doses block the vitamin D receptor binding and driving down the biologically active form of vitamin D in your blood. To me, I'm always someone who's actually leaned towards the lower doses unless somebody has a severe vitamin D deficiency. So if we're looking at optimal health, I think anywhere between, I'll sort of explain that towards the end, the sort of best protocols there. Just a reminder that vitamin D3 is actually made from sheep's wool, otherwise known as lanolin. And you may be wondering if you can get the vitamin D through foods, such as, let's say, mushrooms, which actually contain greater levels of vitamin D2. Now, just a reminder, if you think you can, you basically cannot. You won't be able to. I mean, you think that you'll be able to get enough vitamin D through food alone. That is not true. You either need to be going out into the sun, or ironically, you can also use something else, which I'll also explore, which I've just briefly spoken about on my Instagram channel. For me, the takeaways from this is to actually use lower doses of vitamin D3 ingested more frequently, as opposed to once a week mega dosing vitamin D. We also need a gradual withdrawal from the supplement, as opposed to a rapid withdrawal, which we see is the case with many drugs as well. From best to worst, number one, in my opinion, allow your body to make its own vitamin D from the sun first. I truly do believe that we need to be creating our own vitamin D from sunlight exposure, and that's not behind a window, because it actually does not raise your vitamin D levels effectively at all when you're sitting behind a window that the sun's blaring through. You want to be outside exposed to the sun. The other option is that you can also use a vitamin D lamp, about 3 to 5 minutes per day. I will be leaving this linked down below in the video description if you want to purchase this vitamin D lamp that I've suggested to many of my clients who can't get sunlight for whatever reason, or they don't like supplementing with vitamin D. So you will be seeing that vitamin D lamp linked in the video description down below. Then the final point is, if you really need to top up your vitamin D levels, then use a vitamin D supplement. And this is particularly important if you feel immunocompromised, or you're getting a cold or a virus for a short period of time, and then making sure that you're verifying your levels using a blood test. So for me, these are the biggest takeaways. If you enjoyed this video, please do like the video. It does help my channel's growth. Please do share the video. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.